Hello everyone! I asked the internet what were some of their frequently asked questions about LARP as a new LARPer. One of the questions that came up is, what do I need to bring? This seemed like a very sensible place to start what might become a series of basic answers to simple questions about LARP and LARP games and what you need to do, bring, what certain words mean, and hopefully over time this can become a useful resource for people who want to get into LARP but aren't necessarily confident that they know what to do. For a recent LARP that I went to, I basically filmed my packing list. 2 things you need to know about this LARP. One is that we were sleeping indoors but had to provide our own bedding. That's not unusual. A lot of LARP games are in sites that don't provide their own bedding, even if you're not camping. Scout camps, some youth hostels, in this case a decommissioned prison. You're indoors and there will be a bed. Beyond that, it's all up to you. The other thing is that this event was self-catered. Again, it wasn't a full-blown camping self-catering event. We had some limited kitchen facilities, so what you won't see me packing is like pots and pans or a way of making fire, because I just didn't need that for this event. Sometime later, I may well make a what to pack if you are going to a camping LARP event, because that's obviously somewhat different. But I don't do a huge number of camping events, so that might be a next year thing. So the first thing I always like to make sure I've got covered are your basic toiletries. If I forget these, my weekend's going to be miserable. I do so much LARP these days that I have a bag pretty much ready to go all the time that has travel-sized toiletries, a spare hairbrush, all the basics in it. So what goes in that bag is obviously toothpaste and a toothbrush. I tend to bring shower gel. Not all events have showers and I don't always use them, but it's nice to have the option. Deodorant is non-optional. Obviously, you're washing your hands a lot and practicing very good hygiene while you're at a LARP because you're surrounded by a lot of other people. I always bring lots of hand cream. Otherwise, my hands tend to fall apart and I get miserable. I also have travel versions of my normal cleanser and moisturizer for my skin. This is especially important because I do wear a lot of makeup at LARPs. But again, it's about making sure that you are happy and comfortable and not worrying that I'm going to get horrible breakouts is a big component in making me feel happy and comfortable at events. Obviously, I bring a hairbrush, some cotton wool. It's just generally useful to have around. I normally bring a very light or subtle perfume to LARPs because not everyone can have perfume and strong smells are really unpleasant for certain people. They can trigger certain health concerns. In general, I go for something that is going to make me feel nice but not be terribly noticeable to the people around me. And obviously, I pack drugs. In addition to any prescription medication that you might need over the weekend, I like to bring a couple of basics. Basically, if I think something would impact my game to the extent that I would no longer be having fun, and that is easily fixed with over-the-counter medication, you should probably just have that. So for a regular indoor event, normally for me that's just painkillers. Sometimes I'll bring plasters just in case, but there's normally a first aid box. If it's summer or an outdoor event, I'll often bring antihistamines for hay fever as well. And if, like the weekend just gone, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, I will also bring some cold and flu medicine. Obviously, that's all very much a personal choice, but my logic is if I had a really bad headache or otherwise I felt like I was too ill to keep role-playing, that would potentially wipe out a big chunk of my game. And if I can avoid that, that will make my overall experience that much better. Final thing that obviously I always pack is sanitary supplies. Even if you're not necessarily expecting your period to turn up during an event, it might, or someone else's might, and in that case, someone is no longer having a good time. Again, for me, that's just planning ahead for something that would potentially spoil a big chunk of my game if I hadn't thought about it. In terms of kind of general essentials. Obviously bring a towel. Even events that do provide you with bedding almost always won't provide you with a towel, so make sure you bring one. We're then on to what you need for sleeping. This is a very personal choice. Certainly LARPers who camp outside a lot, who have problems sleeping, back problems, overall health concerns, just find it really hard to get comfortable. Their sleeping equipment will look very, very different from mine. I can basically fall asleep anywhere. For me, I bring a self-inflating roll mat, a sleeping bag. This one that I'm bringing here is a ultralight sleeping bag. If you're just getting into LARP, I don't recommend going out and trying to buy a lightweight sleeping bag. You can get away with a one-season sleeping bag if you're indoors and it's summer. The one that I have is a 3-season but packs down very, very small. I wouldn't go out and buy this specifically for LARP, but as it's something we already have, it's incredibly useful. And obviously a pillow. The one thing that will generally make the biggest difference to your ability to sleep well, even when camping, is having enough pillows. You can counteract having a crappy sleeping bag by wearing more clothes. You can pile blankets up underneath you if your mat isn't quite good enough, but pillows really do make all the difference. I have a couple of pillows that are specifically for camping. They are just the cheapest ones that I could get from the supermarket. I don't even put covers on them. They squish down pretty small, but they are not special pillows. They're not dedicated camping pillows. They're just some pillows that I don't use for anything else. Very important to remember is your phone charger. I really rely on my phone for keeping in touch with people while I'm at games, as well as having it in case of emergencies. It also helps me sleep because I sit and listen to audiobooks. I can't sleep with earplugs in, so having my headphones instead works really, really well for me. There's a bunch of reasons why making sure that your phone stays charged during an event is probably a good idea. Quite often you can't reliably get an electricity supply at a LARP. Either there's not enough plug sockets or some plug sockets don't always work. So I also find it really, really useful to bring a rechargeable battery just to top up any devices that I have on me. As I said earlier, this was a self-catering event. Even when it's not a self-catering event, I do recommend that you actually bring your own mug. Mugs always go missing at LARP. It's really, really easy to end up with no way of putting more tea in your face. I basically just live off hot drinks the whole weekend. So I try whenever possible to bring a mug of my own. In this case, because it's self-catering, I've brought a big mug that I can use as a bowl as well. We were told there would be disposable plates and cutlery, but I'm just bringing some extras just in case. Most importantly of all, I'm bringing a water bottle. As a general rule, I would say bring a water bottle of some kind to every event you go to. If you don't end up using it, that's fine, but hydration is important. This was a modern game, so I could just bring a water bottle that I use in day-to-day life. A lot of people I know worry about, for kind of fantasy and historical games, whether or not their water bottles look in character enough. Genuinely, I would say if you don't have an in-character water bottle, use a modern one and wrap a scarf or something around it. It's more important that you keep drinking, especially during summer and especially if you're outside a lot, than it is that you look completely in character at all times. People will understand, and if they don't, we judge those people, and they're not welcome here. What other things do I pack? Makeup, obviously. I wear makeup for pretty much every LARP event I go to, whether that's kind of more subtle beauty makeup, or whether it's to convey a particular character style, or whether it's monster makeup of some kind. If I'm playing a male character, quite often I will do contouring. I may do a future video where I run through what different kinds of makeup I typically bring to event, but it is quite character specific. So let me know if you have any questions about makeup at LARP events, and I'll bear that in mind for a future video. Baby wipes. Always, always 100% bring baby wipes to every event. They are a lifesaver. Whether it's helping clean off really heavy makeup, they can work on some prosthetics and prosthetic glues, they can work on fake blood. If you don't have time for a shower but you're feeling kind of gross, They're really good just to freshen up. Baby wipes are really, really cheap, and they're basically my number one making you feel better about your life at a LARP game life hacks. I always have a pack of those, and I go through them pretty liberally. In general, though, you don't really want to be using them to take your makeup off. It works very well for like face paint and very, very heavy stuff like that. If you're dealing with waterproof mascara or heavy concealers or anything like that, you want actual makeup remover. That's the only caveat to baby wipes are basically magic. And then finally we're on to clothes. So obviously bring a set of pajamas. You probably are going to be sleeping in a room with other people, or otherwise are going to be around other people while not in kit. So having a pair of pajamas that you aren't ashamed of being seen in is probably a good idea. Obviously, when you're packing your kit, don't forget to pack socks and underwear, enough for the whole weekend. There is a weird thing where LARPers will tell you to pack a ridiculous quantity of socks. Like someone once told me they pack 7 pairs of socks for a weekend event. You do whatever works for you. Personally, it depends obviously what boots I'm wearing, whether they are part of my kit or not. But if I'm doing a full weekend in hiking boots, which I typically am if I'm going outside, I bring 2 pairs of socks. Like, don't get me wrong, I pack the heavy-duty double-layered hiking socks, and I bring 1 pair to wear and 1 pair as a backup in case my feet get wet. And that pretty much covers me. I have additional questions when people say they bring 6 or 7 pairs of socks about whether their boots fit, whether their boots are waterproof, you know, whatever works for you. But definitely make sure that you pack enough underwear for the weekend. We've all managed to pack all of our kit and forget to put pants in. So yeah, the final kind of out of character thing that I always make sure I pack is at least 1 set of non-character clothes. For me, sometimes after a game I need a really clear break between this is the character and this is me as a normal human in the real world. Having a set of clothes that I don't use as a LARP character, the set of clothes that belong to me as a person to change into, really, really helps my mental state and my ability to normally get myself home on public transport. So then all that you're left with is your in-character clothes, which may be as little or as much. For me, it's often as much as you want them to be. With that, I only have 2 bits of advice. 1, you will probably forget something. It's okay. It's not going to ruin your kit. You'll work around it. It'll be fine. If making a checklist of all the bits of kit that you have helps you, do that. If keeping it all together in 1 box between events, so you can just empty that box into your suitcase the next time around, do that. There's a bunch of different ways you can help to keep track of things, but if you don't remember one specific thing, don't stress about it too much. You'll find a way around it. And the final bit of advice for in-character kit that I have is make sure you have a bag. Whether that's a belt pouch, a rucksack, a satchel, you will always find a use for somewhere to put stuff when you're at a LARP game. So think about it in advance and make sure you have a bag of some description for that character. So that pretty much wraps up how I pack for LARP games. Like I said, there's a couple of bits I've slightly glossed over, and there's a couple of bits that, for example, a camping game I'd go into in some more detail, and we might do those for a future video. But for now, I hope you found this helpful. Please tell me in the comments below what your top tips or life hacks for packing for LARP games are. If you've got any advice that you think could help other people out, I'd love to hear it. And I will see you all next time.